What's up, guys? Bobby back with you here to talk about the Nikon ZFC. As a matter of fact, I'm recording this entire video on the Nikon ZFC 4K 24p on this, and with the 28 f2.8 SE lens on it. So this is it. I'm going to go about this review a little bit differently. Instead of doing my standard, talk about build quality, design, usability, Lightroom, final thoughts, I want to talk to you a little bit about what the ZFC stands for, because yes, it is essentially a Z50 with a flip out rotatable display, and it's got some of the newer focusing technology into it, and it's got 20 megapixel APS-C sensor, but this camera signifies a lot more. This camera is going to educate a lot of new content creators into the world of Nikon and into the history of Nikon. And I think if they do this well, this is going to be some of the best marketing Nikon could have done in a long period of time. In my personal opinion, when I look at Nikon cameras and I see how they market them out there, it's always to wildlife photographers, sports photographers, to professionals. You don't see a lot of marketing to the content creators or the hobbyists or just the average consumer out there. I think they try to do that with the Z50, but it was a little bit convoluted, and the price point compared to the Z5 was as such that it was a little bit like, why don't I just go for the Z5? Why do I even go for the Z50? And I know Nikon had all these crazy promotions and packages, especially here in Singapore, to sort of entice people, but I don't think it struck a chord as much as I think this camera will do. The ZFC is an homage to the FM2. Everybody said that, even Nikon says it. And the FM2 was never a pro camera. It's not like the F2 or the F3 or the F4 or the F5 and F6, etc., etc. It was sort of that prosumer kind of hobbyist camera out there. Small, compact, easy to carry around, still took great images. Obviously, it depends on the film and the lens that you're using for the most part. And it had, a lot of the features that most people needed. And I think the ZFC, for the most part, takes that DNA and it brings it into the digital realm. Now, a lot of you out there will be saying, but Bobby, why didn't they make a full frame camera? I want a full frame camera. I know, I said the same thing to Nikon as well. But after the last couple of weeks of using this camera, I kind of understand why they decided to go with APS-C with it. Because APS-C 20 megapixels, they can keep the cost down. That's number one, which this camera is not meant for the professional user. Two, you're not going to kill your battery life with this thing. You can put a lot of images and a lot of video on your SD card. It's not going to, you don't have to spend a lot of money on all those things. When I use the battery on this, I can shoot about 700-800 shots before the battery goes dead. I mean, that's a lot for a camera this size. So I can understand why they did all that. Yes, I'm with you. I hope they come out with a full frame version, but for an experiment, for this first camera to bring people into the Nikon family, into the Nikon lineage, into the history, I think this was a really smart way to go. And I didn't think about this initially with my first impressions. I didn't. It took me a while using this camera to discover it. When we look at the build quality, for example, it's not going to match an FM2. The FM2 was built like a tank. Film cameras were always back then, just different materials back then, the way they were designed and built. I mean, you pick up a mint condition FM2 today, it looks beautiful and it holds up well. Digital cameras have a lifespan of a couple of years in terms of, before they're swapped out for new cameras. They can last longer, but people change cameras a lot faster nowadays. So this is not going to have that same build quality. It's not bad, but I wish it was a little bit better. But for our first attempt, okay, I can accept some of the plastic doors and some of the plastic buttons and things like that. But Nikon, you can improve the ZFC. I know it's in you, and I hope you do that in the future, but it's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. But for me, using it over the past couple of weeks, I've enjoyed it. The image quality, I love Nikon color science. I do. To me, Nikon color science is some of the best color science out of any mirrorless camera system currently on the market. The reds are accurate, the greens are accurate, the temperature is accurate. What I see with my naked eye, is what I'm getting out of the camera, maybe a little bit more enhanced, but enhanced in a good way. I love the metering on this camera system, especially when it has highlight priority. I don't know the exact name of it. We'll put it here at the bottom of the display. In essence, it basically allows you not to clip your highlights. It sort of exposes for the highlights. So your tones, your colors, everything just comes alive. It's beautiful. The color profiles on this are nice. Now, of course, they're just generic named with letters. I wish they had more fun, unique names like Fujifilm did. Maybe they can do that in the near future. I know you can sort of put your own recipes in there. I've seen other photographers do that, which is cool. And maybe they will build on that. But this camera allows that creativity and allows that, because most of the time when you have a Z7 II and Z6 II, you're using it for a different type of photography and different type of creator out there. This is going to be more for that daily creator that's going to take food shots or blogger shots or vlogger shots, whatever it is, or, going to travel around with this camera when they can and they want to just take beautiful images at the beach or at a hotel and all that great stuff, but they want to do video. You can do it with this. You got HDMI ports in this. You got everything you need, right? It's for that user, and I understand it. On this channel, I review a lot of high-end cameras, and on the previous channel I worked on, I reviewed a lot of high-end cameras, but I also realized that the market I'm talking to about those cameras is quite small. To be honest with you, someone that's going to spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 on a camera system, they got to really love photography and videography. They really got to love it. If they're just an average consumer, they're not going to spend that kind of money. The ZFC is going to be where they're going to put their money at, because they know that, hey, I can put $1,000, $1,500 into this, get a lens, get maybe a couple lenses, get the body, and that's all I want to spend. And that's all I want, something that works well. And the camera does that. But there are some things I do want to point out in terms of its usability that I think that are worth noting. The dials, love them, or love the retro feel. But if you want auto mode, it's a little bit hard to figure out. There is no A on the dials. There's no distinct marking for auto mode. It is confusing. I don't even know if I've completely figured it out yet, even after a couple of weeks of using this camera, exactly how to dial it in. I'm using more of the internal menu system than anything else. And it would be nice if you could actually just do everything from the dials. Since you have your ISO dial there, your shutter speed and your exposure, it'd been nice to just, okay, I wanted to set ISO to automatic. I want to set my shutter speed to automatic. I want to control my ISO. You want to play around with that? It would be nice to do that. Now, of course, you have your Pasm modes on this, which sort of override certain things, but it is a little confusing. And the buttons on the back, while it's nice to have all those buttons, again, they're trying to mesh pro with consumer, and it is a little bit convoluted. I wish they would have simplified this camera a little bit more, in my personal opinion. But once you do spend some time with the camera and you understand it, you're going to be fine with it. But I think that outside of that, man, I really enjoy this camera. As a matter of fact, funny story here, this is the first Nikon camera out of the modern lineup that I've held, walked on the streets with, and people actually wanted to stop me and ask me about the camera. They were like, is that the new Nikon ZFC? Can I hold it? Can I see it? Oh, what's it like? What's it like to shoot with? Is it a good camera? And they're like, is it for sale? And I'm like, yeah, it's out in the stores right now. And they're like, whoa. They were so excited about this camera. And it was kind of took me back for a little bit, because I'm like, well, it kind of does resemble a Fujifilm camera. If you're, for the average consumer out there, they would think that, right? But to them, they were excited that Nikon had this camera. So Nikon, I think you're on the right track with something here. I really do. I think that, and through your marketing, I think you need to educate people about the beautiful cameras, the technology, what you guys did for the photography industry as a whole from the early 1900s to today. I think that needs to get out there. Yes, Leica does this, Canon does this to some extent, but Nikon, you really haven't tapped into this as much as I feel you should. So if you guys are watching this out there, I even told the marketing team, yeah, I'm just a reviewer, but I told them, get the FM2, put it next to the ZFC, show people this camera system, show the homage, show what was and what is. I think that's going to be exciting for people. I think people are going to really love that. And I hope they do that. I really do, because this is a really cool camera. I'm excited for it. I really am. I play with a lot of cameras. You can see back here, there's a lot of gear back there. But the ZFC it's a basic camera and it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a lot of cameras I have here in the studio. It's been fun to use. But Nikon, in the future, can you make the EVF a little bit larger? Just a little bit. I know you wanted to mimic the FM2, but it's still a little small. High resolution, okay, if you want to do that too, that's not bad, but a little bit bigger would be great. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the ZFC. As you can tell, the video functionality on this is fantastic. It's been tracking me the entire time. I've been in focus the entire time, AFC for that matter, so there you have it. Video is great. With that, guys, take care, stay safe. Like this video, it does help out our channel a lot. Any questions you have on the ZFC, hit me in the comment section below. I'll try to answer those for you. But yeah, I'm a fan of it, and I'm really happy Nikon went this route, and I hope they continue to do so. With that, guys, take care, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye.